So I feel like I've talked about the Hawks lately a lot, but it was really just that DeAndre Hunter video. And I feel good enough with talking about him again because, I don't know, I made a free Tre Young joke on Twitter and now I feel like talking about him. So, they're bad. 6-24, yeah, John Collins suspension, I know, okay? If John Collins was healthy, they would definitely be better. No doubt about it. I like John Collins. I think he's got a lot of talent. And defensively, he looked better. Quick rundown of their rookies. Cam is bad on offense. DeAndre Hunter's kind of okay. Switchy defender type of deal. And, the rest of the stuff, Kevin Huerter hasn't been great, but he's dealt with some injuries and whatever else. How do you surround Tre Young with some more talent? There was already a rumor that they're looking at Steven Adams, and of course you'd be sending out either Evan Turner, Alan Crabb, or Chandler Parsons. All three of them make a lot of money, expiring deals. I did suggest that exact thing like a month ago. I'm sure I was not the only one. It was a pretty easy thing to see. I mean, they got the expirings, they need a long-term center, they need to be good on defense around Trae. You get that guy, and you hope that, yeah, he makes a bit of money right now, but you could re-sign him to a cheaper deal for, I don't know, like $16 million a year after that contract. The fear with it is that Adams is not going to be able to hold up by the time he's 29, 30, just because of the physicality of his game and stuff. But, I mean, he's been healthy, and could you argue he's a little worse defensively? Potentially, but, I mean, still pretty good, and he gives you a lot of culture. He grabs a lot of rebounds, too. The fear potentially could be like, well, spacing for John Collins and stuff. I don't think John Collins can play center. I just don't think he's big enough. And I think Atlanta feels that way because the dude's pretty much only played power forward for them. So that's an interesting conversation. But, it's that kind of thing. The long-term center who can be a defensive foundation for you, because you're going to need that around Tre Young, no doubt. I asked on Twitter about Miles Turner. Look, if NBA executives say that Miles Turner could get traded, then I think it's worth at least mentioning. I mean, it's a similar thing. The expiring, the Nets pick. You'd figure that'd get you close enough to a Miles Turner deal. You'd probably have to include, a player in that, because I don't think Indiana really wants to, get a guy who, is this guy good, is he not good, or whatever, and okay, Atlanta doesn't exactly have a lot of those guys, and whoever they have, they should probably want to hold on to, but it's an idea. But another thing with Atlanta is that they have a lot of cap space this upcoming season, right? Because they don't have to trade all of those expirings for dudes who can help them long term. And in terms of centers, I mean, there are some out there. There are some low-key ones, whether it's like Robin Lopez, who you could play 18 minutes a game, and you can continue your center by committee thing. In terms of making a splash at center, there is Montrez. Granted, your front court would not exactly be big, and who knows how good defensively Montrez would be not on the Clippers, but it's an interesting idea. Speaking of OKC, there's also Nerlens Noel if you want more of a low-cost option, attempt for your center position. And then there's other random centers they could go for between, I don't know, Kem Birch and the Magic, and Sean Holmes and the Kings, although he might be kind of essential for them right now. Cody Zeller on the Hornets, just random dudes who could be solid for you, Could also give Andre Drummond a max contract, but I do not agree with that one at all. Now, if we can talk about these expirings a little bit more. Look, they can put a whole lot of money together between Parsons, Turner, and Crabb. They have the Nets pick. That alone could get you something, and I mean, there's a chance you could just hold on to all your young dudes. I mean, I don't know, is there a world where you can trade Alan Crabb and the Nets pick for Robert Covington? Potentially. I mean, is he perhaps a little too old for what you got going on? Maybe, maybe not. Similar things can be said for, Drew. We can argue if it would take more to get Drew. But those are the type of things that Atlanta can be asking themselves a little bit because of all these assets they have. I mean, just going down other names in the NBA who are making about that amount of money. There's Gary Harris, because he's been pretty blah this season for Denver, and I don't really think this would happen, but something like that, 25-year-old who is not playing great for his current team, and it's well, I don't know, make a swap and get yourself a solid guy who you hope would be better for you. I mean, pick and choose that type of thing around the league, you know? Anyway, let's now look at past this season trade stuff. We look at the draft, we look at next year's free agency or this offseason's free agency, whatever that would be called, because Atlanta's definitely going to have some options there. I mean, as of right now, Basketball Reference tells me there are like $33 million committed, which is kind of insane, and all of their guys are on rookie deals and stuff, so, you know, we assume, okay, they use their pick, which, you know, it's probably going to be the, 7th pick in the draft. We don't know. The lottery is random as hell now. They're probably going to win some more games once John Collins comes back. So, you know, we'll say the 7th pick. Definitely high enough to get you a guy, but at the same time, the dude could suck. I mean, every year, there's at least 1 or 2 dudes in the top 10 who are not good. So, you still got to do your job of recognizing talent. But if you get a guy who's solid, then, okay, we'll say he's making, what would it be, $7 million, something like that? So 33 plus 7, you're at 40. Then let's say they trade for some dude who makes like $17 million or something this year, who they're hoping can be a long-term option for them, and they use the expirings and whatever else to get him. So now you're looking at somewhere between $60-65 million in salary, which means they would have a lot of money to do something in free agency. I don't think they have a chance at any max players. Well, at least for what we would consider a max player. Dudes get overpaid, of course. But I would still give them a long list of guys they could go for, besides like the names I mentioned for the centers, like Montrez and whoever else, you know. And it would, of course, depend on what type of moves they make this season and who they draft to determine like who they would look for in free agency. But the idea is we probably think it would be versatile wings who can make a shot, okay? Defend a few positions, because you're going to need that around Tre Young, no doubt. And we would like to think that you've already got one of those guys in DeAndre Hunter, and hopefully Kevin Huerter as well. I mean, this season's been a little weird for him because, I don't know, maybe injuries, maybe he's just actually bad, I don't know. And Cam has shown some life on defense, offense, not exactly good. But there's like kind of a foundation of hope with all of that, right? Anyway, if we look at some names, between Evan Fournier, Joe Harris, Malik Beasley, those are just 2 guards that I'm seeing on hoopshype.com. We go to small forwards. You could give a max to Brandon Ingram and force the Pelicans to match, which they probably will, but if you want to get wild with it. You know, there's Jay Crowder, small signing who could be nice for you. Mo Harkless, another just guy they could use. If we move on to power forwards, I mean, you could go with Bertans and just make yourself impossible to defend. Just go with Bertans and Collins at center. You'll give up 130, but you'll score 150. The boring answer would be like Marvin Williams for $4 million or something. Like there's names out there, you know. There's dudes out there who can help this team and give Tre Young some more guys to pass to and defend and all that. So there is a world in which the Hawks have kind of fixed this by potentially next season if things go well. I mean, if one of these young dudes pops a little bit, like maybe Hunter comes in the next season looking really good, maybe Huerter's scoring 15 a game next year or something, Cam has a big improvement, if the guy you draft is good right away, if you manage like one good trade off of these expirings and the Nets pick, and then you do well in free agency because they're going to have a lot of money. I mean, you put all that together, if everything goes well, which it probably won't because it's the NBA, but if most of it went well, you could have a decent team next season. So we'll see what happens. There's definitely a roadmap here for Atlanta. And that's good because there are teams where you're like, you know, I talked about Minnesota earlier. There's ideas for Minnesota, but it's tough to really be like, this is the direction they need to go in, besides just hoping their players are good. With Atlanta, it's like, okay, you see it. You see how it could happen. Now it's just a matter of them getting a little lucky and also not screwing it up, pretty much. So we'll see how it goes.